You might not have realized it, but camcorders are still a thing, and that really surprises me from time to time because most of us YouTubers and other online video creators, I mean, we all end up using hybrid stills cameras like right now. So we live in this bubble of big sensors and bigger lenses. But cameras like this XA50 actually have a lot to offer over those that are saddled with all those photography modes. Tell me if these are some of the things that you'd like in a camera. Built-in ND, dual pixel autofocus, XLR adapters, a flip screen, awesome stabilization, great battery life, and a very nice built-in zoom lens. Yes please. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Look, I get it, camcorders do not get the respect that they actually deserve, and I know that I myself have fallen for the allure of the hybrid, but I do get frustrated with the need to attach a bunch of junk to my camera to get the image and the audio I'm looking for. I mean, like right now, we've got a monitor, we've got an audio device, we've got all kinds of stuff attached to my stills camera to get what I want. So fast forward to this surprisingly compact, full-featured video camera, and maybe I and you don't need all that junk after all. I mean, yeah, there we go, dad mode. Before we get too far into the video, however, I would like to thank my friends over at B&H Photo for loaning me this XA50 for the next couple of weeks to make some videos about. If you'd like to get your very own, because who doesn't like saving space on extra junk? I certainly do. There will be links in the description below. And you know what? Just so you can see what this puppy can do, we're gonna set this up as the B cam for the rest of the video. Flip out screen, power on. Camcordery goodness. Oh, it's so nice. I mean, off script, it's just nice to have one system. Now, what's really funny about this whole enterprise, I've been on a searching spree for a camera for my second channel, and yes, I went through a whole host of contenders, so the videos over the next few weeks are kind of influenced by that hunt. I mean, that's how we ended up back with a camcorder, because who doesn't love just having a single package that does everything with no assistance and no needed accessories? But if you are new to the XA50, let's cover the basic specs, that way we can know at least where we stand comparatively. The XA50 has an 8.29 megapixel 1-inch CMOS sensor. It can record in up to 4K 30 frames per second and can record 1080p in up to 60 frames per second. Plus, it can do that forever. No, there's none of that stills hybrid stuff about 30-minute recording limits on this bad boy. It just records, as long as you give it power and memory. It also comes equipped with Canon's dual pixel autofocus, and much like the C200, it has that face priority mode, so if it loses a face, it doesn't just go and start focusing on the background. It waits until that face comes back again, and that's, I think, all face tracking autofocus needs to do that. Not only does it have awesome autofocus, but it also has 3 steps of built-in ND. So if you were recording outdoors, you don't have to worry about closing the shutter or dragging along. I mean, you don't have to be like me and drag along all of this crap of ND filters with you. I've got a whole stack of ND over here. You don't need that, and you can combine that with the built-in optical image stabilization, which can also be bolstered with a power IS option, and you can get some very nice stabilized images without too much work. And whew, I just said that all so fast, but those are the absolute basics. I mean, we will cover some more of the features as we go, but holy cow, like right off the bat, this makes a very attractive solo content creator run and gun system. It's just, I mean, what's really exciting, and yes, these are spoilers for the rest of the video. If you consider my 4 categories of things that I use as metrics for the success of a camera for the online content creator, this basically crushes each one. I mean, it blows it out of the water. There are 2 little problems we'll talk about later, but just, it's incredible. And first up in those is the video quality. And like I mentioned, this is a fully enabled 4K machine. Now it is missing 4K 60 frames per second, so if that is your thing, I mean, honestly, I don't like messing with 4K 60, it's just too big of a file size for really negligible benefit when YouTube is gonna chew that footage up anyway with its compression. But now what I'm not as big of a fan of is it is lacking any real usable slow motion outside of 1080p 60. So I do wish it had at least 120 frames per second, but for such a compact package, I can kind of let that slide. Where this really shines for technical image quality are the big things we already mentioned. The dual pixel autofocus, the stabilization, the built-in ND. I mean, we'll talk much more about these things in ease of use, but I want to mention them now because this absolutely has a bearing on the image that you will get out of the XA50. And it's just, I love talking about this camera. I mean, my favorite part about this camcorder is it's kind of like a mini cinema camera because it has Canon's wide dynamic range profile. Now what that is that it's a Canon pro level picture profile that will allow you to capture more information in both your shadows and your highlights without needing to shoot it in a flat profile and grade it later. So, I mean, I do kind of wish the XA50 had Canon C-Log profile because it's darn useful, and of all the log profiles that I've started dabbling with, it's absolutely the easiest to slap the Canon LUT on top of it and tweak it slightly to get really good results. But it's not about C-Log. The XA50's WDR is just about as handy, and you don't need to grade it at all because it's not flat. It doesn't have that gross gray log footage thing going on. It's just, it's a profile that's designed to be shot and exported really quickly, and I like it. I mean, the images I've been getting out of this camcorder are awesome. Combining the dynamic range you get out of that WDR profile and the ND while outdoors, that really let me capture some great footage while I was out vacationing with my family over the last few weekends. I mean, the first real complaint that I do have for somebody that's used to a bigger sensor camera really has to do with its depth of field, because with a comparatively small sensor, you're going to get much deeper depths of field. Now for me, that's actually a good thing because that's something that I want, because the whole shoot everything as wide open as possible all the time, I mean, that's really kind of getting distracting for me, and it just wears you out, especially when you have to worry about focus so much more, because every little movement of focus is amplified when you have a razor shallow, like you've just got a razor sharp depth of field. The second complaint that you and I have with camcorders in general is that at its widest setting, this has an f2.8, which is fine for outdoors, but when you start doing inside work like right now, that 2.8 on the 1-inch sensor is gonna start struggling in low light. Now it's not unusable. I mean, right now you can see it's at f3.7 because of the zoom, so it's not terrible, but it's not as clean as I'd like. And that's something that I really like about hybrids, is with their bigger sensor, it's really good to get really nice, clean, low light. And this, it's not terrible, but it's not doing it as good. But video quality isn't only about the technical image, it's also about the audio, and the XA50 again just crushes it with its top handle having 2 XLR inputs and physical controls. And it's so useful. I love physical controls when it comes to audio because I like dialing it in that way instead of tapping on menu systems. Now, if you don't want to use the XLR port and want to slim the camera down some, you can take the top handle off and use a standard 3.5mm audio jack. Now, in my testing over the last week, the one confusing part is when the XLR handle is plugged in, even if you use the 3.5mm audio port, you still have to use the physical audio controls on top of the handle, where if it's not installed, you control the audio through the camera's digital menu system. So let's put all of that image and audio to the test with a quick outdoors vlogging test. See you out there. And welcome to the vlogging test of the Canon XA50. Now, this is without a doubt the camera that I have most wanted to do a vlogging test with. Now, I know it sounds crazy. Say hi, Pool. Because this is a camcorder, right? We all just love stills cameras. But this thing is so exciting because it is everything in one. And that's the theme of the video, I'm sure you've already noticed, is that just right here in my hand, I've got ND, I've got stabilization, I've got this is the entire package as a vlogging or just an outdoor run and gun camera. Like, look, I don't know if you can see this, but that's the whole package. Like, that gets you everything of pro level audio, good autofocus, good everything. Like, I love using this camera. We're also doing Canon's wide dynamic range, so even though it's not that bright out right now because of the cloud cover, there should still be pretty good dynamic range right now. And I could talk about this camera for hours or days or just all sorts because I love it. Okay, that's enough gushing. We've got plenty more video to gush about. Back to the video. And we are back. Yeah, the image is great, and for a change, I've just been super excited to talk about it. I just love how easy it is to get, because when you love video, using a camera specifically designed for it is it's so awesome. I've loved every second of using the XA50. Now let's go down the list in the ways that this camera is easy to use. Dual pixel autofocus. You never really have to worry about being in focus when you are the subject of your video. Pretty handy, right? Every camera needs something similar. I refuse to buy a camera anymore that doesn't have that ability. A flip screen with both zebras and a nice histogram, so while you're in front of the camera, you can monitor both your audio and exposure Yes, please. 3, optical image stabilization that works all the way along the zoom lens, and because the way it's built actually has room to move around because the camera's built around the lens, not built around the sensor. Built-in ND. This alone is the best thing ever conceived by man, and every time I send a camera back that has built-in ND, I cry a little on the inside because it's just so useful. And lastly, the audio with real manual audio controls on the ports is just awesome. Yes, this is 5 things that make everything about this camera easy to use. And not just easy, but a joy, because it all works together really well. The only real negative in ease of use is if you've only ever used hybrid cameras like me, the menu systems and options will seem a little off. For example, there is no ISO. Here it's called gain. It's not called shutter, it's called iris. Little differences like that will make the menus hard to navigate at first. But the XA50 is just incredibly easy to use. Like one of the easiest, and we get to save time here because going down that list of easy features also includes how easy it is to use after you hit record, so we don't need to talk about that, but I really just wish hybrids were as easy to use as these camcorders. Like, you don't get the respect you deserve. So let's say you decide to buy the XA50, what does the ecosystem / upgrade path look like? Well, frankly, there isn't really one. Now, normally that's a bad thing, but here it's not, because if you haven't noticed, this whole thing is built to be an all-in-one package. You just don't need anything to get it up and running without an issue. I mean, that's kind of been the whole theme around this. This whole video has kind of been like pushing you in that direction, right? There's just nothing you have to worry about. And there's always hidden costs to setting up a stills cameras for video, whether that be gimbal, cage, audio device. I mean, that's just something that adds up after you buy the actual body. Here, what you pay for is a fully usable package. Well, I guess you do need SD card. That's a camera thing. But at the end of the day, so what, right? So is the XA50 really the next coming of the online camera? Well, it's great, don't get me wrong. Everything I've said in this video makes this an awesome video camera. It's basically a mini Canon Cinema Series camera with its wide dynamic range, built-in ND. I mean, it's been awesome to use. However, it's pricey. It's over $2,000 for this camcorder, and while I do think it's worth the asking price, if you are an online creator on a budget, I'd probably steer you towards a more consumer level hybrid device and not a pro one like this. Thanks for watching.